Welcome to Smart, Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy, a podcast that takes a look at stories of life and leadership for smart, amazing women and men like you.
The way I can give support to the world right now is by showing up. The most important thing is don't think just that you have to bring anything. Bring yourself, show up.
If you are in a position of leadership and a position of management, bring women along with you.
Supporting women is Dr. Nancy's passion and her purpose, and talking with other women and men who promote women's leadership is one of her favorite things to do.
I've yet to meet a woman who did not know what she really wanted. She was just either afraid to ask the questions or she was afraid of what the answers meant.
Their stories connect us and help us understand that the possibilities are endless if we support each other and lift other women up.
Trust is created by persistent identity. I show up in my conversations. I build relationships. I show up as myself time and time and time again. And trust is built. It's one conversation at a time.
Today's guests are two extraordinary young leaders at the forefront of gender justice, social change, and the push to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Dr. Sophia Armen is a Middle Eastern American feminist, community organizer, and writer. She is the co-founder and co-director of the Feminist Front, a powerful national organization of young people, ages 15 to 35, fighting for gender and racial justice. Rosie Couture studies social studies and women, gender, and sexuality studies at Harvard College, chairs Harvard's Institute of Politics, Gender, and Sexuality Coalition, and organizes with the Harvard Feminist Coalition. Beyond campus, Rosie is co-founder and co-executive director of the Young Feminist Party, a youth-driven movement for advancing gender justice and finalizing the Equal Rights Amendment. These two leaders are mobilizing the next generation and demonstrating the power of young voices. Now, here's Dr. Nancy and her guests, Dr. Sophia Armen and Rosie Couture.
Welcome, Dr. Sophie. I saw when you introduced yourself, you did not use doctor, so I have to reprimand you about that when I watched the session last time. So make sure you show who you are. And you know what? We work so hard for what we do. And the one thing that I know about women is we need to toot our horns, okay? Toot, toot. But
toot.
So congratulations. But thank you all. Let's just get started because I know this is we've got 30 minutes to do so much, but I want to welcome you both. Rosie, I don't at all want to leave you out. You're one of the most important people. You are the most important people because you know who you are. You are the young people who have to take the baton. You are the young people that have to live this world and make this world a better place. And that's what you're doing right now. So I want you to just tell a little bit about yourselves, a little bit of personal story, how you got to be who you are today, and then we'll go into your questions. How about that? All right. Dr. Sophia, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Dr. Nancy. Very appreciative of being here. We just want to say on behalf of the Feminist Front and Young Feminist Party, we're really grateful for this conversation, and we're really grateful for you being an ERA champion. So that's, I think, one of the most important parts of how we get here is we come here through community. It really takes a village, and that's, how I'm here. I'm Sophia Armen. I'm the co-director of the Feminist Front. We're a youth organization that's fighting for gender justice, racial justice, and queer justice. And we're very thankful to be part of this ERA movement and a co-convener of the ERA Now campaign with Young Feminist Party. Rosie over here, our partners truly in this deep, important fight. And I would say the way that I got here, or really who I am, I come from a family who I think actually experienced in our own history the worst that humans can do and the best that humans can do. I'll be very honest. I come from a family of genocide survivors who really came to this country out of necessity and because they had to, and they were refugees. And I think a lot about how many people helped them along the way, actually. And I think a lot about in the history within my own family about folks who stepped up even when it was really, really hard. And I think that's how I come here, is that I think about who really is most at stake in these fights, and that we have to use our voice even if we're scared and even if we don't always know all the answers, that one of the most important parts is that we try, right? And we fight really hard to get it done. And I'll let Rosie kind of explain about the wonderful work that she's been doing. But I think one of the things that's been very exciting about what we've been doing, or who we are, is that we are the next generation that's really taking up the ERA fight as our own, right? We're really embracing it in a very, very real way. And we know that the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, is a intergenerational, it's an intersectional fight. It impacts women and LGBT people, and actually all Americans from all walks of life and every background. And so there's so much potential here. And so I will say the reason why I got involved is because I saw the history and I said, wait a second, why the hell hasn't this been done yet? And I think Rosie has a similar story, so I'm gonna pass it to you.
All right, let me just make sure we clarify. We are talking about the Equal Rights Amendment to be published in the Constitution as the 28th Amendment. It's been over 100 years, and we still don't have this in our Constitution. There's nothing in our Constitution about women. There's nothing in our Constitution about all of us, which we are all in this together. So this is the fight. We need this Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment so that we're all of us, men, women, boys, girls, everyone coming into this country, people in this country, to have an opportunity to live their very best lives, and for all of us to change the world for good. All right, Rosie, you're on.
That was very well said, Dr.
Thank
Nancy.
you. I've been saying this stuff a long, long time too.
Yes, we appreciate it. And, working intergenerationally is the only way we're going to get this done. And we're so grateful to be in coalition with you and to be talking today. And Dr. Sophia so beautifully said, as always, my name is Rosie. I'm a junior in college, originally from Florida.
You're
and
not a junior in college, you're a junior at Harvard. Come on, guy.
I'm a junior at Harvard.
Don't
Thank
forget
you.
that. Tooting your horn. Harvard.
Yes. Harvard. Okay.
Harvard. Okay, keep going.
Okay, I'm a junior at Harvard. And yeah, I was born in Orlando, Florida, to a dad that's a public defender and a mom who's a social worker, and an older sister who's a theater kid. So I grew up heavily, and very grateful to have grown up heavily with family members that have always valued social justice and public service and fighting the good fight. I grew up going to school board meetings, and my dad would be talking about cases at the dinner table. And I have, yeah, just always been a part of this family that fights the good fight. And the first protest I ever went to was the original Women's March. It was my 13th birthday, actually. My birthday is on Inauguration Day. Sometimes it's really great, sometimes it's really horrible. This Inauguration Day will be my 21st birthday. But I remember it was my 13th birthday, and I got on an overnight bus up to DC to go to the first Women's March along with my mom and my sister, two incredible and strong feminists. And I guess kind of the rest is history from there. I just started, organizing when and where I could. I got very involved with the March for Our Lives movement following the school shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, which is a community near mine in Florida. That's where I really gained, my organizing and political advocacy skills, to the point that when I was a freshman in high school, I was looking through proposed legislation in the Virginia General Assembly. And I came across this resolution to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. And similar to Sophia, I had no idea what the Equal Rights Amendment was, but I was like, equal rights, dope, this looks great. And then I realized what it was, and I realized, we weren't in the Constitution. Women and queer people weren't in the Constitution, and I was very surprised. I was like, how is nobody talking about this? Why aren't we just throwing cans at walls? Why isn't the whole world stopped? And so I emailed the Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy, an incredible leader of the ERA movement in Virginia, and I was like, listen, we can do this. We can make this bill happen. Put me in, coach. And of course, there was an incredible coalition of folks working around this and have been working around it for over 100 years now. But there really was that missing coalition of young people. The ERA is a century-long struggle, and it hit its peak in the 1970s, and a lot of the incredible leaders from the 1970s are still the folks leading today. And, there's this gap of bringing in Gen Z and millennials into the fight for the Equal Rights Amendment when really it's our generations that have the most at stake. It's our bodies, our rights, our futures on the line. So since then, I've been getting young people, involved in the fight for the Equal Rights Amendment, in a worsening gender injustice crisis in our country, as we've seen the rollback of Roe v. Wade, as we've seen Title IX be chipped away. I'm from Florida, so I think about our 6-week abortion ban. I think about don't say gay laws. The need for the ERA is so clear and urgent. And so I'm so grateful to be working with the Young Feminist Party and the Feminist Front. Oh my God, I don't even think I talked about the Young Feminist Party. The Young Feminist Party is another youth feminist organization working towards the Equal Rights Amendment, and it was founded back in 2019 around Virginia's ratification. Just all about getting young people involved in the fight. So grateful to be here and talking today, grateful to be in this movement, and we're gonna get this done.
Yeah. Well, I had a wonderful opportunity to meet you all in Washington, D.C. I don't have my green shirt, the ERA Now shirt. I did not bring it. I wasn't even thinking, but I do have it and I'm going to wear it. But I think the most important thing is that one of the things that we are trying desperately to do is to get the current president to sign the bill that will actually be able to publish the ERA coalition, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution as the 28th Amendment. So I think it's I think right now we have a lot of ups and downs going on, and we one day we're up, the next day we're and then up again. But so we can't stop. The fight's not over. And there, just like what you said, Rosie, there's so many people that really don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And this is the problem that we have in our country, is that people sit back and they don't educate themselves. They don't know. And even those that are challenged, even those that are not privileged, like so many, do not understand that there are laws. Once there are laws in place, anything is possible. Then you can start moving towards changing the world for good. So we really have a lot at risk, because we know the next administration is going to come in and start whacking any of our equal rights, any of our gender equity and gender equality rights. So we have to do something about it as soon as possible. And we have to be prepared if it doesn't happen, because we have to keep the fight going. Because like I said, it's been 100 years. But what else can we do? So we have to keep working. So, okay, let's just talk about what is the Equal Rights Amendment. Just tell us what it is and what it means. You guys take turns. So, Dr. Sophie?
Rosie, you go.
Okay, I can kick us off. Sophia,
okay.
Please come in. The Equal Rights Amendment is an already ratified amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and it's just 24 simple words. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That's truly all there is to it. It's so simple, it's so straightforward, but right now the Constitution does not explicitly prohibit sex discrimination. There's only one right that's protected from sex discrimination, and that's the right to vote. Everything else completely up for grabs in the Constitution when it comes to the courts. Yeah. And, that's why we see the rollback of our rights today. That's why we see, abortion bans. That's why we see attacks on queer and trans youth. That's why we see the rollbacks on protections for survivors. We have seen state level equal rights amendments be successful in combating these attacks. We've seen, state level ERAs in conservative states like Utah completely wipe out their abortion bans. We've seen state level ERAs in states like Connecticut and Nevada block restrictions on abortion access that aren't full bans, but things like Hyde amendments or blocking state funding from helping low-income people access abortion. We've seen the ERA be successful, and we know we need it on the federal level. Yeah, and Sophia, do you want to come in?
Let me just say something real quickly. And yeah, this is a historical fact. World War II began something amazing in our country for women. Women, for the first time, started to take birth control. And so men went off to war, and women started taking jobs. And with birth control, they were able to take jobs. And so when the men came back from World War II, they went, we like our jobs, we like our money, we like our positions. And so what we're seeing now is there are many people who would rather see all women, no birth control, no abortion, and that we are back home taking care of the house and doing all those domestic things and keeping us out of the world itself. So I mean, it's almost. I mean, for me, of course, and what I've been through as far as women's rights, it's just appalling to see that we're reversing and we're going backwards in time to the point where women of your age have no. I had more rights than you did, and I had very little rights when I was your age. So, all right, Dr. Sophie, let's hear your part in this. But I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it's frustrating.
it's frustrating, and I think one of the things we think about as a movement, especially I think when Rosie and I are really strategizing, right, within our organizations and thinking about this as kind of our generation's ERA, I think it's really important to validate how we're feeling, that actually our guts know that things are very wrong right now, right? And that we should be angry. And it's okay to be angry and sad and confused because that's correct. What's happening is not acceptable. I think you all hit it on the head. It's really about we are going backwards. And I think the scariest thing about this moment is that there are people that are freezing and we can't let that happen, right? So there are people who are in the face of this crisis are doubting that this is bad, right? Or are not taking action. And we need to do the opposite. So the ERA is very important because it protects us from what's happening currently. And it protects us from what we don't even know is about to happen in the Trump administration. Because despite everybody's, pedigree and, positions and degrees, nobody has a crystal ball and can even guess what this Trump administration is going to do. But what we've seen so far and what they've promised us is very, very bad. I want to list some of those things because I think it's important for people to really understand the stakes of the ERA fight. So they have already said, right, in Project 2025, they want a national federal abortion ban. Okay. They want to go after things like pills, contraception, right? I mean, I really think people of my generation need to hear this because we took those fights for granted in a very real way. And I say this in deep humility, right? That I think feminists or even young women of our generation, we forget how many decades it took and how many movements and how many organizations and how much fighting it took, right, to get access to those basic things, those things that should be rights and are not privileges. And I'm thinking about not just us as women being able to be fully in the social, economic, political sphere, right? But things that are actually about like our own healthcare, right? Our own bodies, our relationships in our families, and also how we are in either positions of leadership or not are determined so much by what the United States government allows or doesn't allow. And so other things that are at risk in this ERA fight, which I think people are not really seeing right now, but really, really we need to validate within ourselves are wrong and are coming. This house, this upcoming house, just as of quite literally this week, right, named who is going to be in charge of these house committees. And for the first time in 20 years, there's not a single woman who is going to be leading the House of Representative committees. There's not a single person of color who's going to be leading these committees. They are really trying to put us back, like take us out of this power structure that women have fought so hard to be in. And so when I say the ERA of our generation, I think people need to think about that it is about us thinking in the very far future about what we can build, but it's also about protecting the things we have built. One other thing that I think is very important about the ERA is that I truly believe the Equal Rights Amendment could be what we call in kind of movement spaces this divest invest strategy. So what does that mean? Okay. It means that instead of us thinking only about rights that are, you know, going to be rolled back, we also think about that we could use the ERA to fight from the local to state level, right, for resources that women currently don't have. Because when we say that the US government or in any form, right, should not be discriminating against its own citizens on the basis of sex, right, we're able to reveal where that is happening and actually take then positive action to rectify that. So let's think about this right now, right? Equal pay. Right now, corporations are actually making truly billions of dollars on that inequity because they do not pay women equally for the same work. So this is not even about, you know, having folks get more. It is literally about paying people equally and not being discriminated, right, based on their own sex or gender. We know that the US economy and thus the world economy, right, is actually based on women's labor by and large, and right now is exploiting that labor. And so it's important for people to understand that the ERA has so much for all of us on the other end of it. And it's so, so close. So that's also where I hope we really think about as we think about that this is our moment for the ERA, is that we're almost there. And it's been a fight because they know those who are against us, who want us to go back in time, who are bigots and misogynists, they know what's at stake. And so we better know that this is a big win that we can fight for and we can win right now.
You know, we go back in time, but women have always had so much and so much abundance. And I think what a lot of women are feeling since this election is, again, going back to this feeling of scarcity, that they don't matter, they're not important, they need to shut up, stay home, and be pregnant, and not say a word about it. But you know, women buy over 80% of products and services in their homes. They are the problem solvers. They're the ones that really could control the market, but we haven't chosen to do that. So, I mean, the Equal Rights Amendment would encourage all people to take the baton and say, this is what I deserve. And it's true in any working setting, is to be paid. I mean, I dealt with that, and I worked for a large healthcare system as a psychologist, and I found out what the men were making and what the women were making, and it was not equal. And you know, you have to go out and you have to spend time educating yourself about what's going on in the company you work for, what's going on in your community, and what's going on in your world. So this is one of the things that you all are building, is awareness. And the more people that we go out and we speak to, we talk about, the more we're talking about change. But we can't stop talking, because so many people think, oh, everything's good. And you know, and I think the majority of people really do sit back. They don't know anything about politics. They don't think about politics. You know, if they're privileged and they're living a good life, they don't see it that way. But the Equal Rights Amendment is a way to create opportunities for everyone to be able to be who they are, who they want to be in this country, and for their families to have anything and everything they need to be healthy and productive. So, okay, well, you know, there's so much to it, and you're right. You know, once it's passed, once the ERA is published, it's been passed. Once it's published, then we will begin the interpretation and the operation of the Equal Rights Amendment. So there are things that are still yet to be known, but you know, as I think, I love this new term, we're going to throw it up on the wall, and we're going to see what sticks. You know, we're going to throw it up against the wall, but you know, we have to keep doing that. Okay, let's talk about the young people. I mean, again, this is so important. You know, I mean, I was an activist. I mean, I've been doing this forever and ever. But being an activist, you know, and I don't remember. I mean, I think I remember when I was going to the university and going to school, that a lot of people in college would look at you like you're kind of weird. You know, like, who are you? You know, why don't you go to the fraternity and sorority parties and just enjoy being in college? Why are you out there doing this and talking about this? And you know, and I've had that all my life. Is why? What's wrong with her? Why doesn't she just keep her mouth shut? So the youth is so important. You know, I've been called the B word. I've been called more words than you could possibly know. But here we are. And I know you're experiencing that now. But again, we can't stop doing what we're doing. But the youth component, talk about being a young person and what you need to do to recruit other young people, because that's what it's going to take. And of course, continue to talk to all of the intergenerational piece as well. But what do you need to do with the other young people? What do we need to do?
Yeah, I can kick this off. Yeah, something I want to emphasize about the Equal Rights Amendment again is that it is permanent. It is something that Donald Trump cannot overturn with executive action. It is not something Congress can realistically take away unless they have crazy majorities, which they don't.
Yeah.
It is an amendment that is going to outlive all of us. It is permanent action, which is exciting because it's permanent protection for our futures. And young people are literally just going to be the ones who are living longest, with the consequences of action and inaction. And I mean, I'm a college student to Dr. Nancy right now, and I'm thinking about at Harvard College, 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted while students at the college. We have a women and gender studies, not even department because it doesn't have the funding, because women's studies aren't taken seriously at school. I think about the lack of health care for people who are seeking abortion, who are seeking gender affirming care at my school. It's these very immediate rights and access to dignity, to healthcare, that are on the line for young people right now. And Sophia, I really appreciate what you were saying about how the ERA it's a wall of defense, but it's also a springboard for future action and protection. And so I see it as being not only a tool to just stop all this crazy business that is happening in our lives right now, that are attacking our bodily autonomy, our dignity, but it's paving the world, paving the path towards a world of justice and abundance and joy and health, right? So young people really have a lot at stake in this fight, and I think it's not young people's fault that they don't know about the Equal Rights Amendment. I think that's the role of Sophia and I in this moment, and the role of the Feminist Front and the Young Feminist Party, is to spread awareness about the Equal Rights Amendment. And I think we do that by empowering young people to talk to their peers, to get in the streets, to talk to their legislators. I think we have to meet young people, where they're at. I think young folks are just like putting up their feet and saying, oh, I don't want to get involved in politics, or I'm not going to educate myself. I think we have been screwed over time and time again growing up, that we have lost a faith in politics, that we have lost a belief that our legislators will fight for us. And that's what's so exciting about the Equal Rights Amendment, is that it is a tool that will actually fight for us, and is something that we can demand from our legislators right now. It's something that people can get excited about. Being added to the U.S. Constitution, seeing your futures and rights protected in the U.S. Constitution, is something that you can get excited about. And so our mandate right now is spreading the gospel of the Equal Rights Amendment to as many people as possible. I think, how we do that is by making the connections of how intersectional the Equal Rights Amendment is, and how it really is an amendment for everybody. The ERA is a tool for abortion access. It's a tool for reproductive health care. It's a tool for racial justice and queer justice. We just saw Skermeti, the Supreme Court case Skermeti, being heard a little over a week ago at the Supreme Court. Trans lives and rights, especially healthcare for trans youth, is on the line. How can we say, hey, we could take this debate completely off the table? We could protect trans rights and trans lives with the Equal Rights Amendment. So it's about making these connections with these strong movements that already exist, showing that the ERA is a tool for all of us that can help all of our communities advance all of our fights. And we have to raise a lot of hell to make that message clear. And Sophia's doing a lot of this incredible work to get people hip.
We're doing it together.
You're
But
right. This is all of us. It's not, I think what happened, especially during this last election, we got into us and them, and it's us. It's me. It's us. It's not us and them. I mean, I think this is the most important thing that we begin to understand. We're only as strong as every piece of the chain. The chain, if you pull a chain, it's going to break eventually, but it'll break at the weakest link. And so I think if people understood, the United States of America is a great country. Many of us have had great opportunities, but there are those that would like to change that. but I was talking to someone else about other country. They were from another country, and they said, well, we've always looked at the United States as a thermometer to see what's going on in the world and what's going on and where we fit into the world. And so we have forgotten who we are and what we've had. We are all immigrants, by the way. This deportation and immigration issue is another huge one. But the point is that we are all immigrants, but we have opened our arms. The Statue of Liberty stands in the harbor in the United States, welcoming everybody into the United States. We have forgotten who we are. And I think, I personally, what I want to do, I want to be proud to be an American again. I want to be proud if I go to Europe, I don't have to tell him I'm Canadian. By the way, who is the actor? He goes, "Stop telling people you're from Canada. You can't do that. We don't even let a lot of Canadians in Canada." The point is that we really have to go back to basics, and it's going to be up to you all to be proud Americans, to help other students, other young people to know.
Yeah.
So very important. But
I think, if I may, Dr. Nancy, I think that's part of also the legacy that we inherit as young people. So the best parts of America, in my opinion, have been that this place has had a rich tradition of deep, beautiful, amazing activism. And I think to us, that's how we express our patriotism, is we think about the highest, most important ideal actually of where we're coming from, like where we live, right, in our minds. And if I think about that, the United States that we're fighting for is the United States of the civil rights movement. It's the United States of abolitionists. It's the United States of, women who fought for the right to vote, for the right to be in the workplace, for the right to be part of the families that they want, to build the families and the lives they want. And we're just part of that really long legacy, and there have been dark times many times before us. And you were asking a lot about how we get young folks involved. And I think Rosie really nailed it on the head. It's raising hell is about giving them hell until we get what we want. And I think especially a lot of young women, like, we're told that is quite literally so shameful, right?
Oh.
To demand what we deserve, and that it makes us, and I really have to say this because I think it's important, that it makes us unlikable and not sexy and not a woman, actually. And I find this really fascinating because I think the very basis of that entire construction, right, is just fundamentally wrong. And so I want to say that we are rad as hell, and we're raising hell because we refuse to back down in the face of people, including ourselves, who are being attacked. We will not be gaslit by this government, too, who tells us this is fine, or by people around us, honestly, who are also telling us, well, the change will come.
Yeah.
Just wait. It doesn't come naturally. It only comes if we fight for it. And so the raising hell that we've been doing, I really want to mention this to folks who are listening, because we have been, for the past 2 months, even just alone, and this is, again, built on years of work. And I want to say, Rosie and I and our organizations and young people have been in the ERA fight its entire history. So I just want to say that this is not new, but it is finally breaking into the mainstream media and into the news as a really, really important tool right now, specifically because had it been in place, we would not be here, right? But we have been, the ERA, hashtag ERA Now movement has been in the streets. We, in the last 2 months alone, have done 5 major national actions. We have been in DC calling on President Biden to publish the ERA. We have gotten our congressional allies to really step up and make this the issue of our time, this the issue of this lame duck session. I want to name, we had thousands, and I mean thousands, of young people across this country engage in hashtag ERA Now actions these last few weeks. We had literally over 200,000 letters or calls or direct contact with this government calling for the ERA right now. That's incredible. There's been a swell of ERA momentum, and we just have to ride it to the finish line. I also want to say our young organizers in the ERA Now campaign just recently got arrested on Constitution Avenue after a rally that Young Feminist Party and the Feminist Front put together with wonderful ERA organizations and advocates. Um, they were literally willing to put their bodies on the line, and we are, because we know that our bodies are on the line. It's us who is going to be on this chopping block coming up for the next 4 years. And so we are escalating. We're escalating our tactics. We're escalating our message. And that arrestable action just happened after we did several right before it, right? We were with our congressional allies, members of the ERA caucus at the Capitol. We held a press conference that said, Biden, this is your time. The clock has officially run out. It's now or never. And we joined representatives like Representative Cori Bush. We joined Rashida Tlaib and so many others who have been really advocating for this for a long time, actually, at the government level. But I think what's really important to know is that while the news moves on, right, and while the political whims of whatever men are in power, right, might be going up and down, they're always telling us that we're having some emotional wave. Like, you really got to look at the men who are in charge for a second and ask yourself. So whatever political whim all the men who are in Congress, in the executive, in our Supreme Court, right, are at, the ERA has remained consistent, and it's always been here. It's always been here for us to have as a tool. And so I think we're just getting louder. We've been here, but now our movement is growing so much. And I want to say that we have now, very excitingly, a coalition that has really been built in a wonderful rooted foundation, but now is growing amongst so many different issues and backgrounds and sectors. I want to name this because, the millions of women in Women's March are calling for the ERA right now. The movement for Black Lives, right, which started the largest racial justice protests in the history of the world, right, where young people, especially like us, took to the streets in the millions calling for Black liberation, calling for justice and the end of police violence, right, has signed on to this fight. I mean, this is a really critical moment for the ERA, and us as young people are helping to make the connections on why everybody needs to be calling for ERA now. I think I'll just end with this on the young folks' piece. We're able to connect these dots because I think so many of us are impacted in multiple ways, but also because we've been in the streets around these issues, right? And we see, hey, the same people who are coming after immigrant rights are coming after women's rights, are coming after environmental regulations. They're really the same group of people. And so if we think about that, those folks also tend to be people who really, really hate the idea of gender equality, right? We understand how every one of those issues, gender justice is a piece of those. Yeah. And I think young folks get that. And so we're happy to say that literally millions of our voices are being raised right now because we decided that enough is enough. And that's really what it is that we're just going to step up. We're going to put it all on the line. We're going to make it work until this is done, until we're free.
Not done, not over. We're not going to quit. So the most important thing. What's the most important thing? What can people do today to help you all, to help us all, to help themselves, to help us all now? Because
Rosie.
Yeah, you can head to publisheranow.org. And really, this fight is for everybody, and we need everyone. I mean, we're talking about changing our nation's most foundational document written hundreds of years ago that is really, really hard to amend. This will probably be the only amendment within our lifetimes. So we need everybody to join. And there's so many different ways that can look like. It can look like sending an email. It takes 2 seconds. Emailing President Biden to put us in the Constitution, calling him up, there's even a text line these days. There's so many little things you can do. And we encourage people to get in deep with us too. If you can organize in the streets with us, if you can come to protests, if you can join our mass trainings and calls that we have so frequently, also just talking to your families, talking to your friends, to your peers, to your teachers. Something I've been telling our high school organizers is bringing up the ERA and Gov class. Even the histories we're taught in our classes says the ERA is dead, and it's not dead. I have these high schoolers coming to me all the time being like, yeah, we learned about the ERA in history class, and they're like, it's dead. It's not dead. So tell everybody, that the ERA is alive and well, and plug in any way you can. PublishERAnow.org. You can take 2-second actions. You could join us for years to come in the streets, and every action counts. Join us.
Well, as you know, I'm on the ERA Coalition board, so I'm all in, as they say, and I'm all in with you all. And again, it's what it's going to take, that we all come together, because it's really to all our advantages. I have daughters; they have daughters. The thing is that don't just sit back and let this happen. We can't just sit back and act like everything's okay and everything's going to be okay. I don't think we have any idea what's going to be happening, but I think if we get this ERA published, we will have a better chance of at least having some laws and something in the Constitution that can, like you said, it's a wall of protection. I truly believe that. But I want to thank you all, and I want to thank you for your work and your continued work. And let's just keep the messages out there. Women Connect for Good is all in. We're working with the rest of the coalition to again get information out there. So whatever you have, send it to us, send it to all of us, and we will get that information out. And keep talking, keep fighting. Yeah, I loved it when you said, well, we young people can get away with a lot more than you older people, and I don't care. I don't care what it takes to get, like I said, I don't care if they say, who does she think she is? I don't care about that anymore. The time is
past that.
Yeah. We're past that.
Is precious. So
they'll say whatever they can to shut you up. So we just got to let them talk. We're going to keep moving. We're going to keep acting. ERA now.
Woo, ERA now.
All right. So any final words? Because I know you both had overall messages. Would you like to, Dr. Sophie, would you want to give us your overall message to this group that will be watching and listening, and that will get out to everybody that we could possibly get out to? What's your overall message?
Yeah, I know. So I want to say thank you, first of all, Dr. Nancy, for having us. It means so much. The work you're doing is so amazing, especially, I'm thinking about not only your organization, but how you're really helping to bring this fight to so many different areas and people. And I think that's the most important thing right now, is just talk about it everywhere, push for it, fight for it. PublishERAnow.org is a very easy way for you to get involved right now. We have every type of action you can think of. We need you to get on a call, get in a meeting with us. We make it easy. Most importantly, call and text Biden every single day. We have easy clickable scripts there for you. ERAcoalition.org also does. There are so many organizations in this fight. There are a million ways to plug in. It just needs you to say, okay, I'm enough. I'm worthy. I can lead this too. It's your movement. The ERA is our movement. It's our generation's movement. Everybody in it, no matter age, no matter background, no matter, if you're a man, woman, no matter if you're queer, trans, this is your movement. This fight is one of the largest fights of our lifetime. I can't emphasize this enough. Nobody could say that the First Amendment doesn't impact everything. The 14th Amendment changed the literal trajectory of this country. It's not going to give us everything, but it damn sure as hell will change things materially for people, millions of people, not only today, but for generations to come. For people we don't even know yet. So we know that we're planting the seeds of fruit we might not even benefit from, right? But it's our job. It's our responsibility. We're responsible to each other. That's what community means. That's what organizing means. That's what activism means. So we have to step up. The ERA is our birthright. And I want to say that. It's our birthright. We say it a lot in our movement in ERA now, but we are actually born free. We're born equal. We're not somehow less just because we happen to be women or queer folks, or if we're brown, or if we're immigrant. Like, we are literally born free, and people need to understand that, because we are born equal. And it's just this Constitution, literally something that is a governing document that's saying no right now. But just like everybody before us, who fought, we know that we have to fix that. We have to know that we're born free, and it's time the Constitution reflects that. We're born as equal people in this world, and it's time for us to be given equal rights.
Yeah.
So come join us. Everybody's welcome. We want you to be an ERA Now organizer. Welcome to the fight. We're happy to have you here.
I love that. We are born free, and we are born free. This is the only country that I'm aware of that has as many rights to be whatever you choose to be. We just don't want anybody else stomping on those. We are deserving, we are talented, and we are born free. I love that. Okay, Rosie, you're gonna bring this thing home, girl. Come on, bring it.
I feel like Dr. Sophia already brought it home, but
no, always.
I don't know.
I learned it from the best.
Okay,
everyone. Put it
no
in.
pressure, no pressure. But yeah, this, for anybody listening, this movement is for you. The ERA is for you, and we need you to join us. Again, we're talking about amending our nation's most foundational document. It is no small task. It is the fight of our lifetimes. It's the fight of our generation, and we need you to plug in any way you can. And there is no action too small. There's no action too big. We are ready to welcome you, to hug you, and love on you, and bring you, and train you, and do all the things for you to be in our movement, okay? So many ways to take action, whether it's just sending a text, joining a call, joining us in the streets. We need everybody to step up. We need you to talk to your friends. We need you to keep being that like annoying loudmouth girl in class, because we've all been there, and that's how we built this movement, and that's how we're gonna win.
If you enjoy these smart, amazing conversations, please subscribe, rate, and review them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And read and enjoy more amazing stories in my books, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Work and Life, and Leading Women, 20 Influential Women Share Their Secrets to Leadership, Business, and Life. Thank you for listening.